What is up? I am Chase Hoover, also known as Hoover 5, and this is one of many Google Snake videos, but this is the first one where I'm recording audio because, to be completely frank, I am bored. And I got a haircut yesterday where I couldn't talk to the barber and I felt really embarrassed by myself. So I'm using this as my golden opportunity to get better at rambling. I think I'm pretty decent at talking to people one-on-one and just, making a yarn spiral. I especially strive with that with my little brother, but I feel like I've struggled with talking on my own uninterrupted for 10, 15, 20 minutes. I had a presentation to do in work a couple weeks ago, a 20-minute presentation. I was filled with ums, I was filled with stutters, and I'm going to use this channel as my opportunity to get better at talking. Because if I ever want to get as good at public speaking as I was when I was 12, then I need to practice. Practice makes perfect. And to be completely honest, I was going to use this opportunity to talk about some personal, philosophical, psychological mumbo jumbo. But instead, I am going to talk about LeBron James, because today was the day that LeBron James's legendary streak of 10 points a game, every game for basically his entire career ended. And it is sad, because there are so many basketball fans who would have you convinced that someone who's objectively worse than LeBron James at every aspect of the sport is better than him. And you don't even need to know basketball to know this, because just think about everything that happens in society. Society is always improving. Yes, of course, it's like a sine wave going upward where there are peaks and there are valleys, but by and large, if you are at the absolute peak, by the way, that was an awful death by me, I should not have done that. If you are at your absolute peak, like LeBron James is in terms of basketball, then you are automatically better than anyone who played 30 years ago. Usain Bolt, he is unequivocally the best sprinter ever. And is he going to be the best sprinter for the rest of time? Probably not, because humans simply become more physical. They become stronger, they become faster, they become better. And that's infinitely the case with sports. You cannot create a world where a 6'2", Michael Jordan's not 6'2", a 6'6" Michael Jordan, who is like a string bean, who was suspended for gambling, but he said he retired to be a bad baseball player. He simply is not more athletically gifted than LeBron James, and he is not more skilled than LeBron James. It's not physically possible. And that's the case with everything. That's the case with Google Snake speedrunning too. Like, back in my prime, back in 2021, I had 120 speedrunning world records. Right now, I'm sitting at 50. Well, after this video uploads, I have 60, but still, I acknowledge that as time goes and as the competitors get better, they will be better than me. And I also acknowledge that while the originators of the genre, the Yarmy plays of the world, they have the most impressive numbers. They have the title of the best of their era. It's incomparable. The more people participate in a field, it becomes incomparable. Babe Ruth. Everyone knows Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth is not the best baseball player ever because he played a century ago. Is he the most impressive? Maybe. But he's not the best. Like, you could even go as far as 20 years ago. Like, in 15 years, Tom Brady will not be the best football player ever. It is simply not possible. There is not a thing on the football field that Tom Brady excelled at that the best football player 20 years from now won't do unequivocally better. It will just be Tom Brady with a stronger arm, with faster legs, with more play recognition in a more difficult era. Everything becomes more difficult. We learned in my world history class that there are 6 eras of the world, and the main way that these eras are defined is by the level of complexity of the world. And I believe that with the creation of the internet, we entered the 7th age, where it is just an exponential rise in technology, and technology breeds complexity. Like, of course, everyone is going to say that for the end of time, that their age is the most technologically advanced. And for a lot of them, honestly, maybe for most of them, they were correct. Everyone is always living in a period where technology has an increasing second derivative, where the speed of change is increasing rapidly. And that is true for LeBron. Like, LeBron James, in 20 years, will probably not be the GOAT of basketball. You can say that he is the greatest because he has the accolades and the points and the numbers and the awards. But will we look back on basketball tomorrow and say, yes, LeBron James did things that Victor Wembanyama couldn't do? No, we won't. That's just not how it works. And then 30 years later, that was horrible. I should not have died there. I am washed. I will get better about that. But Victor Wembanyama will be the GOAT for maybe 20 years, and then we'll find some 7'10" guy who can shoot 40% from three and pass the ball across the court behind his back with his eyes closed. And that's just the way it goes. Like, Shohei Ohtani is doing things that no human thought was possible. I personally believe that Shohei Ohtani is the most gifted athlete in human history. And it's so lame to say, oh, well, what about Jim Thorpe? Well, Jim Thorpe was born in the 1800s. Like, did Jim Thorpe compete in 3 different professional sports and do very well in all of them? Yes. Did Eddie Alvarez win an Olympic medal for ice skating and play professional baseball as a shortstop? Yes. I think Eddie Alvarez is unequivocally a better athlete than Jim Thorpe and Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders and anybody who played sports before the year 2000. It's a different game. It is pure difference. Like, there are outliers. There will always be outliers. Wilt Chamberlain is an outlier. Wilt Chamberlain's physical strength and his physical gifts make it so he could very likely excel in many sports in many eras. But you can't look at the guy who averaged 50 points a game and say, yes, he would do that right now, because he wouldn't do that right now. If you watch the footage of him playing those games, he's a goaltender. He's not going to put up 50. Is he going to be incredible? Is he still one of the greatest athletes ever? Yes. But we can't say that he is the greatest when we don't know how he would function with modern technology. Because to be frank, a lot of these older athletes, there's the argument with Babe Ruth of you can't take Babe Ruth out of a time machine and bring him to the modern day because he doesn't know, like, he wouldn't have the training that a high schooler would. But if you give Babe Ruth that training, then he'd be incredible. You don't know if Babe Ruth would accept that training. Some people just can't function outside their era, you know? Just in the same way that a 5'6" second baseman isn't going to hit 300 home runs if he played in 1920. We don't know if Babe Ruth would have actually taken the time to optimize his game to be Shohei Ohtani. He probably wouldn't have. Babe Ruth probably would have become Nick Castellanos or Kyle Schwarber. Like, it's just not how it is. And I'm sorry that this is becoming a sports rant because it does not match with my Google Snake speedrunning expertise, but this had to be said. This is coming off my chest. But this is good, in my opinion. This is the point of this channel. I want to get better at enunciating, at inflections, and at deleting filler words from my vocabulary. And if you want to see me, Chase Hoover, go on this arduous journey, then be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell, because once I hit a certain number of subscribers, I will be doing a mukbang with my coworker where we eat the entire Culver's menu, and let me tell you, it is going to be spectacular. If you have not been to Culver's, it is marvelous. That was awful. I turned too early. But if you have not been to Culver's, it is the best fast food you could ever have. The Atlantic cod is the best Atlantic cod fast food can create. But that is the end of my run, and unfortunately, I will see you next time I get a record.